Leading up to retirement, maybe in the early stages of retirement, how much cash should you have, either on hand in the bank or in your investments? I've got that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. I think during your career, okay, as you're journeying in your financial life from, through your career and towards retirement, you might know some of the rules of thumb with how much cash you have on hand. I would go back to Dave Ramsey's baby steps. Start with at least get $1,000 in there. And he's been saying that for a few decades now. And with inflation, it's not going to go very far. It didn't go very far back then. I encourage you to have more than that. And then as you're getting your cash flow and your overall kind of financial foundation in order, you then want to grow that or build that into an emergency fund that has 3 to 6 months of your budget, of your lifestyle stashed away in there, okay? We would convert this into you having a 3 bank account system. That's the stability to your overall financial house that you can then, that's solid foundation that you can build on. What's that 3 bank account system? You have a checking account for all of your immediate income and immediate expenses. So this is where you've got a monthly budget, or at least the awareness of how much money's coming in, what are all the monthly bills, both fixed and variable, and therefore then what margin do we have? Should it be a unique month or something come up? So that's your immediate spending, that's your checking account. Bucket number 2 is your delayed spending. And so if bucket number 1 is all the monthly expenses, bucket number 2 is all the non-monthly expenses. But you're aware of them. I know Christmas is coming. I know we've got an anniversary coming up. I know that we want to take a vacation. I know, I can't tell you when, but I know there's going to be a car repair that comes up or a health insurance deductible. So quantifying, well, how much and when, and then doing the math, adding all of that up, dividing it by 12, and saying, all right, well, I need to be saving, I need to fit this sum of non-monthly expenses, saving up for those non-monthly expenses. I need to fit that into my monthly budget. And so you transfer dollars from bucket number 1 to bucket number 2 automatically, so that as those non-monthly expenses come up, you've got the cash right there and you don't need to reach for a card, or you don't need to go into your emergency fund or have a lot of undue stress in your finances. That's bucket number 2. Bucket number 3 is then that emergency fund. And that is, it depends on your unique situation, but normally 3 to 6 months of whatever your monthly budget was that you calculated in bucket number 1. 3 to 6 times that is what you should set aside in that emergency fund. All right, I got into the details there, but that's the approach you should take throughout your career leading up to retirement. So in retirement, is that still the same approach? Yes, we would argue, it's still very beneficial to have a 3 bank account system in retirement. So building those skills along the way will help you have a more confident retirement. Your CFP should be delivering clarity on your finances and where you stand, confidence that you're on the right track and doing the right things, creative strategies to help you get there. And if you're applying all 3 of those things, if you're getting all 3 of those things, it will result in financial calm. And so this 3 bank account system is going to help you with that. All of that said, as you get to retirement and in retirement, how much should you have in cash? So 1, I would start with, you still need that 3 to 6 months of emergency fund. Now, a lot of that is based on, well, an interruption to your income during your career. That's why 3 to 6 months, because if you have an interruption to your income, it could take 3 to 6 months for you to find that next job. Well, in retirement, if you don't have a job, if you're living off of your own assets that you've built up, or maybe Social Security as well, maybe even a pension, that risk goes away. However, financial surprises still do pop up. And so whether in retirement you move that from 3 to 6 months down to 3, or if you've gotten accustomed to, we'd like just having 20 grand in cash, 20 grand on hand, something like that, rounding to a number that gives you some peace of mind, I think that makes a ton of sense, so that every time there isn't a financial surprise Or every time you want to be a little spontaneous, you don't need to draw money out of your investments and incur some sort of tax consequence, if you will, if it's coming out of pre-tax, or an indirect tax consequence of coming out of Roth, because those dollars then aren't growing for you tax-free for your future. So one, I'd make sure that you've got a fully funded emergency fund, 3 to 6 months, probably a little bit smaller in retirement. Second, I would still be working that second bank account, which is delayed spending. And a lot of times people aren't implementing this in retirement, and yet the need is still there. So you're still going to want to go on trips. In fact, you might envision retirement where you're going to go on more trips, maybe to go see family members or maybe take a family vacation. Home changes, home improvements, those sorts of things. You're still going to have gifting. Maybe you want more gifting in retirement. And so having an awareness of what those items are, and then having a system where you're setting aside that cash, I would call that sort of delayed spending or excess cash. And so the amount of that depends on your goals and your financial situation. A lot of times, so with that account, if you were to just to track the balance, it's you're saving up and then one of those expenses that you're saving up for occurred, and so your balance goes down, and then it goes up, and then it goes down. And so somewhere between 5 and 10 grand is probably appropriate for that. If you have that in your emergency fund, you're going to feel like I shouldn't be spending this money. Therefore, I would have it in a separate account. It can still be a high yield savings account or money market account, but I'd have it separate so you have permission to use those dollars for known upcoming expenses, where the other is really just your surplus. And then the final category, unless you've wanted to build up even more cash on hand beyond that, then I would look at, well, how much cash should you have within your investments? And you might say, why? Why would I do that? Well, at retirement, as you approach retirement for sure, but then at retirement, you've got to take a look at your long-term investment strategies to see what adjustments need to be made. When you're climbing the mountain, it's all about diversification and having disciplined strategies to help you manage risk, downside risk, but capture upside potential. And yes, you want that in retirement as well, but there is a difference. All of a sudden at retirement, your time horizon with these dollars or some of these dollars has shrunk. One of the big mistakes that we see is people thinking that their entire nest egg now has a time horizon that has shrunk. No, that's not true. You need to stratify your investment holdings to say now which dollars are short term and invest those in short term instruments. Which dollars are intermediate term, invest those in immediate term or kind of mixed balanced investments. But then the dollars that don't make it in those two buckets are then long term dollars and should stay invested for the long term. So as you approach retirement and in retirement, in addition to the emergency fund and the excess cash you have on hand, you should have 2 to 3 years worth of your lifestyle in cash within your investments, or instead of lifestyle, what you're withdrawing. So when you're looking at your 5-factor retirement plan and you're saying, well, in order for us to live the lifestyle we're accustomed to, we need to have X amount of income each month. I'll just pick a number out of thin air, 7 grand each month. All right, we've got 4 grand coming from Social Security, so we need to draw 3 grand out of our investments every year, every single month. Well, then applying that math, 3 grand, you should have somewhere between 70,000 and 100,000 of your portfolio sitting in cash or cash-like instruments. We like some sort of bond ladder, CD ladder, treasury ladder, something like that, where you're maximizing your interest on this. Maybe the first year, because you're drawing 3 grand a month out of your investments, that should be in that money market within your investment accounts, whether that's IRA or brokerage account, something like that. That should be in money market. Maybe you have a 1-year CD though. As you're spending through that cash, you've got a CD that's going to mature right as that money market needs to be replenished. Maybe you have a 2-year CD as well that then replenishes when that's spent up. But the reason why you have 2 to 3 years worth of cash within your investments is you don't want extreme market volatility or a recession or a big decline or swift decline in the markets to throw off your retirement strategy or have you lose confidence in retirement. So in 2008, I just remember it like it was yesterday. When I wake up in the morning, you had the news on all the time because things were so extreme, and there's a financial talking head on the Today Show saying, get out, put everything in cash. We didn't have to worry. And our clients didn't need to worry because they already, if they were in spending mode, if they were at retirement, in retirement, near retirement, they had 3 years worth of cash. And so the conversation, instead of, oh my goodness, you need to put everything in cash, went from, okay, we've got about 3 years worth of cash here to hopefully allow the economic downturn to recover and your investments, your long-term investments, to recover. And they did. They did. It took a couple of years, but it did. And so you want to have that 2 to 3 years worth of cash in your investments. So that's the baseline. I hope that helps you have the right stable foundation to your overall financial life as you're approaching and into retirement. Work with your certified financial planner. See if it makes sense for you to have even excess cash so that you could be doing Roth conversions and not drawing some dollars out of your investments right away, and do some tax planning strategies during those years when you're retired. So work with your certified financial planner on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.